listening.
Another time as we start the new year, and as always, begin by thanking you because as every other Kenyan was relaxing and enjoying themselves, they managed to do so because of the work that you are doing during that period, and we truly appreciate and are very grateful and thankful for everything that you do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I take this very early opportunity to thank all of you for the work that you are all doing each and every day, safeguarding Kenyans and the country at large, so that Kenyans can continue to enjoy peace and to go about their businesses without fear. And we gave tasks for the year. And I have followed very closely the progress made and how we have all performed. I take this opportunity to say that I am indeed happy with how you have undertook your work, how you have performed. However, as it is always said, success does not mean that we rest on our laurels, or for that matter become complacent, for the threats to our country are dynamic and we must remain vigilant, indeed in this year and in every coming year. I thank you, Waziri, for organizing this second edition of our annual National Security Review and Planning Conference. It is useful for us to review what we have done, for us to assess challenges that we are facing, but most importantly, what additional measures we need to take to ensure that our citizens are secure in light of the tremendous benefits of this conference. And indeed, as we said last year, and I confirm once again, this exercise shall be an annual exercise. Our most grave national security challenge, as you all know, is terrorism. And indeed, I applaud the efforts made by our multi-agency structure to preempt a very large number of planned attacks and terrorist operations. And I also recognize and applaud the individual acts of bravery by security officers who have faced the enemy directly and showed immense resolve that did the officers, their agency, and indeed our nation proud. Last year, I did indeed task the county commissioners and police commanders to upscale the intensity and efficacy of our security work and coordination. I did indeed ask you to hold more barazas to increase information flow from the public concerning terrorist operatives, recruiters, and propagandists, and this needs to be sustained, if not intensified, this year. In addition to you doing more to make communities feel safe from terrorist intimidation. This sense of safety and freedom from intimidation or retaliation from terrorist elements will encourage even more people to speak up and resist the tactics of terrorists. Last year, I ordered county commissioners to coordinate with the National Counterterrorism Center, headed by Ambassador Kimani, to ensure that every county has launched and is implementing a county action plan for the prevention and countering of violent extremism. I'm happy to note that that was indeed achieved. These efforts should rally our protection of communities, especially in the northeastern region and parts of the coast region, that, as we all know, have witnessed an escalation in terrorist attacks, typified by the targeting of public facilities, security officers, public transport vehicles, and critical infrastructure. The people of Kenya should rest assured that we will respond robustly and that our nation, Kenya, will and shall prevail. So to that end, today, I want to direct that the following actions be undertaken to immediately upgrade our response. Firstly, security officers are to mount operations to flush out terrorist operatives and all sleeper cells in our midst, especially in the northeastern and coastal regions. Secondly, all relevant officers, agencies, and personnel are to drive the determined implementation of the county action plans to prevent and counter violent extremism. Doing this will allow citizens to be more resilient against radicalization and terrorist propaganda. The implementation of these measures needs to be undertaken in a systematic and measurable way. And to that end, I will expect a report on the practical undertakings and efforts with respect to the same by the end of August of this year. Thirdly, the national government administrative officers and police are to engage local politicians, religious and opinion leaders within vulnerable communities as a proactive strategy to deny terrorism entry points into the radicalization, especially of our youth. They should utilize the prevention capabilities underlying the county action plans so as to ensure that local violent extremist networks and recruiters are denied, and I repeat, denied any space to operate within communities. Lastly, I want you to further synergize the efforts, capabilities, and resources of national government administrative officers and the National Police Service to deliver on the common mandate of ensuring public safety and security for the country. As I said last year, there can be no longer room for silo mentality in our quest to make Kenya safer. Coordination and leveraging on synergies and economies of scale will ensure that our resources are optimally utilized and deployed. Indeed, I do believe that we have more than enough officers, and we are continuing to add equipment, that if we coordinate and cooperate, we can eliminate this evil. I want to be clear that those who shall continue to insist on silo mentality and resist working in a coordinated way within a multi-agency structure that has been set up should be reported, and action will be taken against them. There should be an immediate restoration and securing of affected key government services in education, health, public transport, and communication infrastructure in the affected regions. Nitarudia hiyo baadaye tukiwa peke yetu. It is crucial for security officers in hotspots to undergo also continuous training that adapts them to the changing trends in preventing and fighting terrorist-related activities. This includes pre-deployment training for all officers posted to such operation areas. Additionally, steps must be taken for the immediate vetting, training, and kitting of our National Police Reservists to augment and support the mainstream police operations. I also want all the security formations represented here today to undertake the strongest possible measures against actors and dynamics that enable terrorists to operate in or against our country. Foremost of these must be ensured. Specifically, any and all means by which the enemy is able to generate income from Kenya or to receive funds through our country, including contraband and illicit trade, must be brought to an immediate end. Smuggling and contraband from neighboring countries directly funds Al-Shabaab, which on the other side of the border illegally levies taxes that they then use to sustain their operations. Friends, this must stop. I also expect more of the major sponsors of terrorism to be dealt with, not least by ensuring that they are listed nationally and internationally so that there is a tangible impact on their businesses. We urgently need stronger multinational frameworks to counter terrorism financing structures in our entire East African region and the Horn of Africa. I expect action on this front at the national, regional, as well as the international levels through existing channels, even as government engages with our partners to develop enhanced frameworks. I further task you to target recruiters for terrorist groups as well as radicalizers and any institutions or organizations that they utilize. I appreciate the coordinated training on counterterrorism and terrorism prevention that has been provided to the regional security and intelligence committees and the county and sub-county security and intelligence committees, especially in hotspot counties. This focus should be sustained and indeed enhanced in this new year. In addition, I want police and other security officers in hotspots to undergo, as I said before, continuous training that strengthens their skills and resolve in facing and defeating our enemies, particularly in situations that call for combat capability when directly deployed in areas targeted by our enemies. Here, a key outcome was that our abilities were noted and appreciated globally. I expect us to continue developing global centers of excellence throughout our counterterrorism chain, and I urge all national ministries and agencies that engage with foreign partners to link their engagement with our counterterrorism needs. In particular, they must seek to move away from ad hoc arrangements and instead build long-lasting strategic partnerships with bilateral and multilateral partners that provide long-term resources and skills to our counterterrorism and security agencies. My administration, friends, will continue to enable them to tackle this threat. And even as we speak, we are bringing on additional equipment. In addition, we all know that far more important than hardware is the human element. And in appreciation of this, I continue to urge the Public Service Commission, the National Police Service Commission, and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to structure a way. Now, by the way, did you watch one in? So watalipwa lini?
The payment now will be discussed socially, but we have given the advice.
Bas, we will work with them by mwezi hii iwe mwezi ya kwanza walipwe. Wanafanya kazi yao. Namna hiyo. Hey, jameni. Hey. On our part, we shall continue to endeavor to provide enhanced resources to further operationalize and facilitate security operations. One specific measure is to support and expand the vehicle leasing program to cover the lower operational levels and therefore ease the pressure on mobility. Let me also take note of the following successful reforms to the National Police Service and the Prison Service that should multiply our effectiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, we have so many Kenya Police Service and so many administration police service officers that have now joined general duty police. These numbers should lead directly to the better coverage of areas prone to general criminality. Secondly, there was the establishment and deployment of Critical Infrastructure Protection Unit, CIPU, commanders on the regional, county, and sub-county levels. I want these units to work more closely also with private security industry and coordinate with multi-agency counterterrorism agencies so as to provide effective cover with regard to potential terrorist targets. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to note that Kenya's first all-female commando unit has been established, deployed, and is proving to be extremely effective. I appreciate also the integration of assets, liabilities, and other resources from Police Service Command to the Kenya Police Service, and this has been completed, and geomapping of police stations, posts, and bases has been done. I also note the effective integration of police posts, outposts, patrol bases, under the Officer Commanding Station Ward Commander, and I want to initiative by acquiring police and national government administrative officers' uniforms from local manufacturers such as National Youth Service, Rivertex, and the Kitui textile industry. So officers, I want you to embrace the fact that our tempo, high, aggressive, and implemented program by security personnel whose equipment, morale, and training we shall progressively improve. I want you all to pursue our strategies with determination, knowing that you are fully backed by me and also by 47 million Kenyans. Last year, I instructed you to work under a one government approach. And I want to confirm that I have noted and appreciated the Big Four agenda. I want you to take note of the speech that I made on Tuesday last. In it, I clearly outlined that the one government approach will need to be utilized better than ever before in the implementation of the intentions that I laid out for the nation for the next few months. Your determined and coordinated action will be required to combat the black market and illicit trade, while at the same time fostering the increased circulation of money in the economy, as well as the increase. It is also required to take on cartels, particularly in agriculture, to ensure that the producers in our economy are protected from being intimidated and robbed of the fruits of their labor. And in this regard, hakuna kusema huyu ni huyu, huyu ni huyu. Anyway, tuendelee namna hiyo. Kenyans affected by natural disasters such as the heavy rains and the ongoing locust invasion must be supported. The other critical intent that I laid out to the nation is the need to sustain and to accelerate the fight against corruption. And in this regard, I have directed for an intelligence-led review of the cartels that are driving corruption in our country as the basis for multi-agency action to make sure that such actors are brought to book. In undertaking your work, therefore, I expect you to combat corruption with extreme prejudice. Your agencies and personnel must be demonstrably corrupt-free and be visible and undeniable anti-corruption advocates and ambassadors. I also encourage you to perform your duties and to discharge your mandates without fear or favor, and at all times in strict conformity with the law. I urge you all to especially guard against and to resist any interference by politicians or leaders who would wish to leverage on their power and influence so as to undermine or misdirect your work. I also expect you to take immediate action with regard to individuals who use public platforms to incite Kenyans or use hate speech under the guise of politics. We must not allow incitement to divide our people or frustrate our efforts to deepen the unity and cohesion of our country. In terms of food security, you will recall last year that I tasked you with the effort to ensure the conservation and protection of our water towers and vulnerable ecosystems. You must keep this up throughout this year as a top priority. In terms of environmental conservation, the government has committed to the United Nations General Assembly to increase Kenya's forest cover to at least 10% by the year 2022. This means allocating more resources to support reforestation and afforestation efforts, and you all have a very important role to play in this. All regional commissioners, county commissioners, and indeed all those under you must ensure reinvigoration of regional and county environmental committees to ensure regulation, conservation, and protection of all our vital water towers, gazetted forests, fragile ecosystems, and riparian reserves in the country. You are also expected to mobilize Kenyans to participate in reforestation initiatives and to also deal firmly with people and organizations. With regard to education, I expect national government administrative officers to work very closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure that the ministry's efforts to safeguard 100% transition from primary to secondary education and other seminal programs are closely supported through your monitoring and reporting systems. Upgrading and building of schools, as well as the National Integrated Education Management Systems registration, should have your full support. I also expect more to be done by security agencies working with the Education Ministry to enable and ensure student security and safety, and to protect our students from crime, narcotics, radicalization, and other threats to their well-being. But equally, towards that end, I need to note and to thank you all, including the Minister and his staff, for the efforts that you have made continuously to ensure that our examinations are done in an open, transparent manner. The manner you have cooperated and worked together, kila mtu ajue, ukirudi kwako, kwa region yako, kwa county yako, kwa sub-county yako, we must know and you must have on hand and available watoto ni ngapi, na wale ambao hawako shule, na wale ambao hawako shule. It is no longer the responsibility ati tuseme mzazi, hapana. Responsibility ni yenu kuhakikisha ya kwamba kila mtoto ako shule. Na kama mtoto hako shule, lazima mtoto aende shule, lakini lazima watoto wasome. Tumekubaliana hiyo? Namna hiyo. I also note that the national government's administrative officers have also played an important role in vetting of farmers to receive subsidized farm inputs and also to the supply of farm produce to the National Cereals and Produce Board. Na tutaendelea namna hiyo. This is vital work that directly improves the day-to-day lives of ordinary Kenyans. I will expect you to work effectively as national government administrative officers to provide the logistical support for the distribution of relief food in response to disasters and emergencies. You will also, friends, be expected to work harder to promote universal health coverage by mobilizing NHIF uptake as well as other insurance packages related to comprehensive medical health cover and group life insurance. I also appreciate the determination to issue identity cards and birth certificates faster and to combat any corruption in these processes. This directly supports the administration in the expansion of our universal health coverage programs as well as in fostering security and increasing the general efficacy of public service delivery. So I direct that you must achieve the same-day service standard in the issuance of birth certificates, identity cards, passports, by urging and tasking greater coordination in service delivery in line with the executive orders that I have just issued. Executive Orders number 3 of 2014 on strengthening the national government coordination function at the county level. Executive Order number 1 of 2014 on the County Service Delivery Coordination Committees, and Executive Order number 1 of 2018 have all strengthened the capability of the national government administrative and security officers to manage security and the coordination of service delivery across the country. Equally important is the Executive Order number 1 of 2019 on the coordination and implementation of national government development programs and projects. I want the committees established pursuant to these executive orders, including the National Development Implementation and Communication Cabinet Committee and its technical, regional, and county subsidiaries, to become even more coordinated and accountable. We all have an important role to play in pushing hard for efficiency, coordination, and fighting leakages as we implement the Big Four agenda. And in that regard, outstanding achievers will be recognized institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have told you always, you are the tip of the sharp spear that we are going to wield to destroy our enemies. And you are also that mighty shield that protects our people. I want you to work in 2020 with a sense of greater commitment and resolve. Let no one or anything stand in your way when it comes to carrying out your duties and implementing the tasks I have outlined here today. I will expect the Cabinet Secretary Interior to report to me on a regular basis on the progress that we are making as we move forward. And I expect him to report to me on the successes that you are making and not the failures. And I want to say here, as I said, I really want to take this opportunity to thank you as a collective and individually, because I know many of you have gone out of their way to do that which is necessary. But I must also be very clear that I have given the we want to reward those who do good, but equally friends, na tukubaliane. Ile story ati ukifanya makosa hapa ati unakuwa transferred pale, hiyo hakuna. Ikiwa ni makosa, jameni, jitayarishe kwenda nyumbani. I think that is fair. Au mnasemaje wenzangu? See, that is fair. Yes? We will not be transforming incompetence. We will not be transferring corruption from one region to another. No. No. Getting no. Yeah? We will not be doing that anymore. We will not be doing that. We want to go on a platform where we reward. Same thing I expect from you, my friends, is the same thing I want you to expect for those who serve under you. Right? Hii maneno ya kusema kwa sababu sijui tuko na Police Service Commission, ako wapi mzee wangu huyu, na ni sawa na tunaheshimu, ya? Kama uko na ofisa ambaye anafanya kazi kwako na hatumiki vile mnataka na anahitajika kutumika, tumia huyu. Wewe hakuna haja ya kusema ati mnaongea mingi. You're not firing him. Aende kwake. Wewe unasema huyu cannot work in my station. Aende. Au ni namna gani? Yes, huyo mtumie aende afanye. Na nyinyi kama mko na DC huko ambaye hajui sub county anafanya kazi, tumia kirogo. Wewe hujamfuta, you have done no mistake. Wewe umesema tu huwezi kufanya kwangu. Mimi nataka mtu kwangu ambaye atafanya kazi kulingana na vile nimeamurisha. You take action. Sio kucheka na mtu ati namna hii. Hakuna mambo ya kucheka na mtu. Utoke enda Nairobi, ofisi ya Police Service Commission iko huko. Ujitetee huko, lakini mimi na alafu napiga simu alikuwa nitumie ofisa mwingine. Nimefuta hii mimi kwangu. Vile mtafanya na yeye, hiyo ni shauri yenu. Sijui kama tunaelewana. Kwa sababu hivyo ndivyo mimi nitafanya na nyinyi. Kwa hivyo hakuna haja ya wewe uchukue mzigo ambaye sio wako. Unaona? Au ni namna gani? Kama kitu imefanyika wewe ukuwa umechukua hatua mapema. In concluding my remarks, let me once again on behalf of a very grateful nation convey our ever eternal gratitude to you for everything that you do for all of us. Thank you, na Mungu awabariki, na Mungu awalinde nyote. Nafikiri tumemaliza kamera, mutembee. Nitarudi sasa tuongee ile tunataka kuongea.